Imagine waking up one morning, and the person you love most is simply gone. No note, no goodbye, no reason, just gone. That's exactly what happened to the Carter family in Dayton, Ohio, on a cold Tuesday morning in November 2013. Marcus Carter, husband, father, electrician, walked out of his front door at 7:14 a.m. and didn't come back. Not that day, not that week, not for 10 years, until last spring, when he knocked on that same front door, and everything changed. Marcus Carter was 34 years old when he disappeared. By all accounts, he was a good man. He coached his son Tyler's little league team on weekends. He made his daughter Emma's lunch every morning before school. His wife, Sandra, described him as the kind of man who remembered every anniversary, but forgot where he put his keys. He was ordinary. He was present. He was loved. So when Sandra woke up that Tuesday and found his truck still in the driveway, but Marcus nowhere in the house, she didn't panic. Not yet. She assumed he went for a walk. By noon, she called his cell phone, straight to voicemail. By 3 p.m., she called his workplace. "Marcus didn't come in today," his supervisor said. "We thought he called in sick." That's when Sandra's stomach dropped. She called the Dayton Police Department that evening. What followed was one of the most baffling missing persons cases in Montgomery County history. No financial activity, no sightings, no body. Marcus Carter had simply evaporated. Detective Raymond Hughes was assigned the case within 48 hours. He told us, and I quote, "In 22 years on the force, I've worked maybe a dozen voluntary disappearance cases. Marcus Carter's was the cleanest I'd ever seen, almost too clean." They combed his finances. His last ATM withdrawal was $200 cash, the morning he vanished. His credit cards were never used again. His phone pinged a tower near Interstate 75 at 8:03 a.m. on the day he disappeared, 7 miles from his home. Then nothing. No border crossings, no hospital records, no John Doe matches. Sandra hired a private investigator in 2015. He turned up nothing. In 2016, a tip came in from a man who claimed to have seen Marcus working at a truck stop in Tennessee. Police investigated. It wasn't him. By 2018, 5 years after Marcus vanished, Sandra filed for a legal declaration of death, not because she'd given up hope, but because the mortgage needed to be refinanced, because Tyler needed college financial aid forms signed, because life, as brutal as it is, keeps moving. Even when your heart is still waiting at the door. The years without Marcus were not quiet. They were heavy. Sandra told a local reporter in 2019, "Every birthday, every Christmas, I set his place at the table. My kids thought it was crazy, but I couldn't stop. I kept thinking, what if he comes back and there's no place for him?" Tyler, who was just 9 years old when his father disappeared, grew up angry. He told counselors he blamed himself for years. "Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe he didn't want to be my dad." Emma, who was only 6, barely remembered his face by the time she was a teenager. She'd stare at his photos trying to memorize him. Like studying for an exam she was terrified to fail. Sandra never remarried. She went back to school, got her nursing degree, worked double shifts at Miami Valley Hospital. She survived. She had to. But surviving is not the same as living. And there was always a hole in that house shaped exactly like Marcus Carter. April 14th, 2024. Sandra was home alone. Tyler was at work. Emma was at college in Columbus. It was a Sunday afternoon. Sandra was grading nursing exam prep materials at the kitchen table when she heard a knock at the front door. She assumed it was a neighbor. She opened the door, and there he was, older, thinner, a beard he never had before, gray at the temples, but unmistakably Marcus Carter. Sandra would later describe that moment in an interview. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just stared at him for what felt like forever. And the first thing I said was, "You forgot your keys." 10 years. And she made a joke. Because what else do you say? Marcus was alive. He had been living under a different name in rural Montana since 2014. He worked as a handyman. He had no social media, no public records. He had left voluntarily. So why did he leave? Marcus, in a statement released through his attorney, said he had been suffering from severe, undiagnosed depression and what doctors later identified as a dissociative break. He said he didn't plan to disappear. He said he drove toward the highway that morning intending to just drive for a while. And then he kept driving. He said by the time he stopped, he was too ashamed to go back. "Every day I didn't go back," he wrote. "I believed my family was better off without me. I convinced myself I had done them a favor. I know now that was the sickness talking." Now, does that excuse 10 years of silence? Sandra says no. Tyler says absolutely not. Emma, who flew home from Columbus the moment Sandra called her, said she walked in, looked at her father, and said, "I have 10 years of questions. You don't get to leave until I ask every single one." And he didn't leave. Marcus Carter checked himself into a psychiatric facility in Dayton the following week. He is currently in treatment. The Carter family story isn't one of a perfect reunion. It isn't a Hallmark movie where everyone hugs and forgives and the music swells. It's messier than that, more human than that. Sandra filed for divorce in May 2024. She says she still doesn't know what their future looks like. Tyler goes to therapy twice a week. Emma said something in a Facebook post that has been shared over 400,000 times. She wrote, "My dad came back, but the man who left and the man who returned are not the same person. Neither am I. And maybe that's okay. Maybe healing isn't about going back to what was. Maybe it's about figuring out what comes next." If you or someone you know is struggling with depression, mental health, or thoughts of disappearing from your life, please reach out. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 988. You don't have to vanish to escape the pain. There is another way. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, and drop in the comments. What would you have said if you opened that door? I'll see you in the next one.
Fiction disclaimer. All characters, places, and events in this story are entirely fictional and created for entertainment purposes only. Cliffside Stories.